After falling just 2 games short of an NBA Finals appearance, things haven't exactly gone as expected for the Atlanta Hawks to start the season. As I'm recording this video, the Hawks are right at 500 with a 14-14 win-loss record. They have the 7th worst defense in the NBA, and they're dealing with injuries to key players like DeAndre, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Onyeka Okongwu. But in the grand scheme of things, I think this shouldn't overshadow the fact that Atlanta's star point guard Trae Young is currently having the best season of his young career, and believe it or not, Trae actually looks like an all-NBA guard out there with the way he's been playing. While for starters, Young is averaging an impressive 27 points and 9.3 assists per game. This makes him the only player to rank in the top 5 of both points and assists per game this season. Also, we know how much of a long-distance sniper this guy is, but right now, Trae is living up to his reputation as a long ball threat more than ever, as he's shooting a lights-out 38.3% from deep on 7.2 attempts per game, both of which are career-high numbers. But beyond all the fireworks that he's displayed this season, there's actually a more subtle shift happening in Trae Young's game which I feel like isn't talked about enough. With the increased pressure that he has been facing when he attacks the rim, just like what he dealt with during Atlanta's second round series against Philly, and also because of the more complicated defensive schemes being thrown at him from behind the arc, just like what he faced against Milwaukee in the conference finals, Trae has actually started to diversify his approach to the game in order to thrive in that space that defenses often concede to him, which is the mid-range area of the court. And the thing is, Trae is actually thriving from this area, as currently he's taking 13.6% of all his shots from the mid-range while also making 54% of all those attempts, which is already one of the best marks in the entire NBA. So to put it into perspective, this added weapon to Trae's already deadly offensive repertoire just might be another reason for us to be excited about his prime, and is also a reason why Trae Young might actually be entering superstar status even before we know it. But how exactly is Trae torching complicated defensive schemes from the mid-range, and how does it actually tie up with the rest of his game? We'll talk about more of that in this video. So what's good guys, it's Real Balls here, but before we move on, as always, if you do enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that like button as it definitely helps the channel a lot. It only takes a second of your time, but it would be much appreciated. So let's get to it. Well, it's no secret that last season, Trae Young was a leading practitioner of foul hunting using his shortstop move. But with the NBA implementing new rules which gives defenders more freedom and avoids rewarding offensive players for foul hunting, it was just natural for Trae's free throw rate to decline. From a whopping 46.8% last season, it's now down to a career low 30.3%. That's actually a huge drop, but the thing is, unlike other perimeter-oriented foul drawers like Damian Lillard, James Harden, or Bradley Beal who have yet to tailor their shot making to offset for their declining free throw rates, Trae Young has already recognized the rewards that the mid-range area of the floor can give scoring guards like him. I mean, this season, Trae is attempting a career-high 3.8 shot attempts from within 10 to 22 feet of the basket, which is the area we casually call the mid-range, and again, he's shooting an outstanding 54% from that area. This percentage ranks in the 88th percentile among all 35 players who are currently attempting a minimum of 3 mid-range shots per game, with Kevin Durant, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Seth Curry being the only players with higher mid-range percentages than Trae Young so far. So without any exaggeration, I think we just might be witnessing the emergence of Trae Young's full 3-level scoring ability right before our eyes, which should give Hawks fans a lot of optimism, not only for this season but also for years to come. But how exactly is Trae Young deploying his newfound attack? Well, there's no better way to understand Trae's mid-range uptick other than by looking at pick-and-roll situations. I mean, because of Trae's elite ability to run two-man games with Clint Capella and John Collins, opponents usually sit on those two big men whenever they dive to the rim or switch screens in order to prevent Trae from floating a lob pass to them during pick-and-rolls. Well, sure, Trae still uses the space that defenses give him in the PNR to shoot floaters, but as we've seen in the playoffs, driving deeper into the paint gives defenses the chance to disrupt both his playmaking and scoring. As a result, Trae has been taking less floaters as of late. His floater shot frequency has dropped from 35.7% last season to just 27.2% so far this year. Instead, whenever defenses surround his big man on the roll, Trae's not hesitating to fire his long mid-range jumpers, and he's actually been thriving out of those kinds of shots. In fact, per NBA advanced statistics, when you narrow down the mid-range to within 15 to 19 feet of the basket, which is the most common distance from from where players take their long mid-range shots, among all 37 players who have attempted at least 35 of those shots this season, Trae Young's 63.3 shooting from that specific zone ranks as the second best percentage, only next to LaMarcus Aldridge, who's at 64.4%. Well, sure, we still can't tell if that level of efficiency is actually sustainable in the long run, but based on the quality of shots that he has been able to generate for himself, I think the sustainability of Trae's long mid-range jumper looks really encouraging. Just like in this clip, watch how Trae deals with Matisse Thybulle and Joel Embiid's drop coverage. After receiving the handoff, he bursts off the dribble as he uses Capela's pick to lose Thybulle. Then he utilizes the narrow space the defense gives him in order to launch his mid-range shot right before the defense catches up. And again, in another pick and roll play, watch how high Capela sets the screen for Trae. This gives Trae's defender no time to recover, and because of Trae's shiftiness in space, even Rudy Gobert doesn't know how to defend him, which results to Trae easily draining the 16-foot jumper. So as you can see, Trae's elite handle and shifty movements just enable him to create space for himself in the long mid-range even when opportunities aren't that simple. But I think another crucial factor that contributes to his ability to generate clean looks in space is the great chemistry that he has developed with Clint Capela. Because watching how they run their typical screen game, you can also see that Capela deserves a lot of credit for knowing how to leverage his size to create space for Trae. Just like in this clip, as Trae accelerates his dribble, Capela immediately sets a pick, but once Chris Duarte is still able to duck under it, Capela then flips his body to delay any further attempt from Duarte to catch up on Trae's mid-range shot. And again here, watch how Capela's screen leaves Trae's defender in a really bad position, but then Capela once again changes the angle of his screen. This makes it impossible for Aaron Holiday to contest Trae, who drains another open jumper. But I think what's even scarier for defenses is that Trae Young is also starting to manufacture great mid-range looks on his own even without the help of screens. I think a lot of this has got to do with Trae becoming a better outside shooting threat than ever before. I mean, aside from having career high percentages from deep this season, Trae is also getting better in terms of manufacturing outside shots off the bounce. For the season, Trae is attempting 6.1 off the dribble 3-point attempts and is making 39.6% of those shots. In fact, only Steph Curry's been shooting with better volume and accuracy in terms of self-created 3-pointers this season than Trae. Also, Trae is shooting threes as deep as he's ever shot before. His shooting threes at an average distance of 28.11 feet, which is also the farthest average shot distance in the entire NBA among all players who have attempted a minimum of 30 3-point shots this season. And because of this, defenses recognize that they have to start picking Trae up even way beyond the 3-point line. But so far, Trae himself has also been smart enough and quick enough to expose the slightest of his defenders' mistakes in order for him to get downhill on the way to manufacturing his own mid-range shots. Just like in this clip, watch how far beyond the arc Keldon Johnson picks him up on defense, but with a lot of space to move around, all Trae needs are a few crossover dribbles to get to his spot as he drains the 19-foot step back even with the tough defense on him. Then again here, even with a good defender like Miles Bridges picking him up right from the top of the key, watch Trae pull the behind the back dribble. This freezes Bridges a bit, but that's enough for Trae to be able to hoist up another beautiful step back jumper. But with Trae being able to unlock another scoring area to add to his arsenal, sooner or later, you can definitely expect opposing teams to send more defenders to trap him as soon as he receives the ball, even early in the shot clock. But what you gotta love about this guy is that he's also an excellent playmaker who's skilled enough and creative enough to get the ball to rim running big man as well as open shooters in the perimeter whenever he's being pressured with the ball in his hands. I mean, there's a reason why Trae Young to Clint Capela ranks as the 8th best assist combination in the league this season, with Capela having already received a total of 49 rim assists from Young after the Hawks' first 28 games of the season. Just like in this clip, coming off the handoff, watch how Pat Connaughton and Giannis try to trap Trae, but he just times his dribble perfectly as he's able to throw the precise bounce pass to the rim running Capela for the wide open dunk. And again here, watch how two defenders blitz Trae almost near half court, but Trae already knows what he's gonna do. He attracts a third defender while on the move, which gives him the perfect angle to dish out the bounce pass to Cam Reddish, who shoots the open 3. So as you can see, Trae's newfound mid-range attack just gives him endless possibilities to grow as a player, cause as early as now, you can see that he's already able to blend all the other elements of his game like his passing, his range, and just his overall shot making ability with it. And as guys like Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, or Chris Middleton have shown in the playoffs, taking mid-range jumpers can lead to success, and I think Trae Young has started to understand that by now. So yeah, the Hawks are having a slow start to the season, but still, Trae Young has definitely unlocked something new in his game which could quicken his ascent into NBA superstardom, and which could also take Atlanta deep in the playoffs once again. So, do you guys think Trae Young is finally ready to enter superstar status this season? Feel free to drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And again, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing as well. Again, this is Real Balls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.